ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिनी व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। तपोभिः क्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणाम् अपेक्ष्योऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते। We have completed this prakarana Atma bodha attributed to Adi Shankaracharya. Now, you know, prakarana grantha is an independent work, a treatise which is going to highlight the topics and concepts of Advaita Vedanta. And we have seen quite a number of prakaranas. And in this prakarana Atma bodha also, Adi Shankaracharya introduces all the topics of Vedanta, and in these 68 verses, and 67 of them are in the familiar Anushtuk meter, and the last one is in the Trishtuk longer meter. Now, what is unique about this prakarana is that it is like a picture storybook. You know, those abstract topics of Advaita Vedanta, Adi Shankaracharya simplifies by giving us illustrations or metaphors drawn from nature and from daily living. Now, this prakarana, you know, starts with what is called the Anubandha Chatushtayam. Now, what is Anubandha Chatushtayam? Which is embedded in the very first verse, which we just chanted. Anubandha Chatushtayam is the fourfold prerequisites before we begin any, any text. So that is, the text should mention what is the Vishayaha, Adhikarihi, Prayojanam and Sambandha. Now, the Vishayaha is, subject matter is Atma bodha, self-knowledge. And who are the Adhikaris? Adhikaris are the Mumukshus. And who are the Mumukshus? The Vitaragis. Vitaragis means who have freed themselves from the longing and cravings. In other words, sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikaris who have turned away from the materialistic pursuits and who are longing to gain this self-knowledge. Then what is the prayojanam? Prayojanam is moksha phalam, and moksha phalam is freedom from anishtam, what I do not want. Now, coming to Sambandha. Sambandha are the connections, you know. What is really the relationship or the connection between this book, the text, and Moksha Phala? So, it is said, Shastra say, it is a Pratipadaka Pratipadya Sambandha. The text Atma Bodha, like any other Vedanta Shastra, is a Pratipadaka Shastra, which means it illumines, it reveals. What does it reveal? A Pratipadya Vastu. That is the nature of that, gaining which I will, be freed from this anishtam. So that is a sambandha between the text, that is the Vishaya, the topic, and the moksha phalam, which is the prayojanam. So in this text, Acharya Shankaracharya straight away starts with the moola karanam for the samsara chakra. what is the cause of suffering is avidya. Avidya is self-ignorance, or in Puja Swamiji's words, self-non-recognition. So not knowing my higher Swarupa as the Purna Atma Swarupa, then what will happen? As a result, Adhyasa. And you all know Adhyasa is a favorite topic of Adi Shankaracharya. In fact, there is a whole Adhyasa Bhashyam, which is the introductory part to the Brahma Sutras, written by Vedavyasa. So Adhyasa is, superimposition means there is an erroneous perception. What is really there is mistaken for something else. So which is nothing but Atma, Anatma, Aviveka. And as a result of erroneous perception, what happens? There is a Deha Abhimana, and one takes the limited body and mind to be oneself, and as a result, there is a Karta, Bhokta, Jiva, and then the cycle is on. Yeah, avidya, kama, karma, papa, punya, phalam, janma. So this sukhi, dukhi, karta, bhokta, jiva is the one who has this erroneous notions and conclusions about oneself, about Ishvara, and about the world. So straight away in the second verse, Acharya Shankaracharya says that avidya is like the virus. The virus which is causing this bhavaroga. Bhavaroga is the samsara roga. Then what is the aushadam, medication? It is self-knowledge. Atma bodha. So that Acharya starts with this avidya. Karanam is the mula karanam. And Jnanam, Atma bodha is a direct means to moksha. And this is what we saw yesterday also. Atma Vichara, in Ramana Maharishi's Upadesha Saram, he said this is the direct way to tackle the root cause of samsara. Otherwise, what is going to happen? There is a build-up. There is a build-up of anxiety, attachments, kama, krodha, bhayam, insecurity. And that is all the symptoms of the samsara chakra. So, Jnanameva Mokshaha, we will see Adi Shankaracharya repeatedly stressing on that. Then what about the other sadhanas? All Japa Yoga, Mantra Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, they are all necessary, but they are not sufficient. Yeah, they are all the indirect cause for liberation. How do they indirectly become the cause? By paving the way through Chitta Shuddhi, giving us a Jnana Yogyata to receive this higher liberating knowledge. Now, we see that even in the Gita Upadesha, if you remember, the very first shloka which Krishna tells Arjuna in the Gita Upadesha is the verse number 11 of chapter 2. Ashocyanan vashocastvam prajnavadanscha bhashase gatasuna nanushocanti panditaha. Na anushocanti panditaha. So who are the panditas? Panditas are panda asya astiti panditaha. The one who have panda. And panda is nothing but Atma Jnanam. So the Atma Jnanis alone never grieve for anything in the world. Yeah, why? Because the erroneous perception is gone. Yeah, is negated. Anatma perception is negated, and there is a owning up of the Atma Swarupa. So that is, the means for moksha. So you see that all the Vedanta Shastras, be it Bhagavad Gita, Prakaranas, Upanishads, will all tackle the root cause of samsara, which is the Mula Karanam Avidya. And they free the mind by restoring the correct perception. That is why the gurus have to remove what? The Timira Drishti. Timira Drishti is a cataract vision. And cataract vision is that Dvaita Buddhi. Dvaita Buddhi will be removed. So we see that, these jnanis, they are not just passively withdrawing from the world, and they're not insensitive turning away from the world. Yeah, but for them, what has changed? The perception. No? I am not one among the many countless entities in the world. So I am not in the Jagat, but the Jagat is in me. No? Swatmani eva akhilam Jagat. That is the perception. Aham eva idam sarvam. So this Jnani has understood what the whole universe and has been created by Ishvara, and there are laws in place, and I have not created them, and so there is a grand order by which everything functions. So there is no resistance and there is total self-acceptance. So in the Viveka Chudamani also it is said that these Jnanis, they may appear to be very anchored, very peaceful and meditating, but they are really like the underground springs of water, which make the earth on the surface bloom and flourish with flowers and fruits. That is the greatness of the Jnana. Okay? So, now, by their vision, all that is here is Ishvara. So, we have these topics in the Atma bodha. I will just mention these topics, and because we are going to see the metaphors which will explain all these topics. Okay. So, here we have the first one is, avidya. Yeah. Avidya is self-ignorance, and that is the problem. And that is why it is said, I am the problem. And then what is the solution? Atma bodha. Atma bodha is the solution. And because of avidya, there is adhyasa, which we just saw, erroneous perception. And erroneous perception leads to confusion, aviveka. And then Acharya, explains the nature of upadhi. And that is where we saw a mini tattva bodha embedded in the Atma bodha. So we discovered, that Atma bodha is Vedanta in a nutshell. It is not a beginner's text. Yeah, it has the whole vision of Vedanta. Whereas tattva bodha is all about definitions and terminology. 3 bodies, 3 karmas, 3 gunas. Yeah, so we found a small section of that in Atma bodha also. Then what is an upadhi? Yeah, upadhi, we saw that upadhi are the 3 bodies. That which conditions or limits the consciousness is an upadhi. So we saw that Tattvabodha section also 3 bodies defined. And then how to gain this knowledge? Vyavritti rupena. So by negation. Atma, Anatma, Viveka. There will be a claiming of this Atma Sarupaha. And then we saw that important verse number 25. Now, how does this subtle matter, the body and the mind, they are matter? How come they become sentient and conscious? So that verse number 25 explained that. How they borrow the Sat and the Chit from the Atma Brahma. And then only there is a Karta Bhokta Jiva who says, I know, I feel, I do this. And there is a talking, walking, chatting, thinking individual in place. So that is the Jiva. Then after that we saw the beautiful verses on Nididhyasanam. How Atma is Nirmalam, Nirakaraha, Nityashuddhaha, Achalaha, like space. So beautiful verses on which one can contemplate for a few minutes every day. Nididhyasanam was a very important section. Then we saw the Jnana Phalam. So the Jnana Phalam will always be explained in a twofold way. That is, even while being embodied, the Jnani enjoys what? Enjoys the vision, enjoys freedom, and the Jnani is mature and emotionally independent, thanks to the vision. So that is called Jivan Muktihi. And then when the Prarabdha is over, the second Jnana Phalam, Videha Mukti, is also there. No more Punarapi Jananam. No more return to Samsara. So that was the Jnana Phalam we saw. Then the vision of the Jnani. Jnani was described as Sarva Vijnanavan Jnani. So this Jnani has the whole vision that the whole universe is in me. Me, that is I, the consciousness. Yeah, and so that is the vision of Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. And there also we saw vision of the Jnani, how this Jnani is freed from the impurities of Malam, Vikshepa, and Avarana, and shines like gold. We saw that metaphor. Then Brahma Swarupa, now the nature of Brahma was also pointed out as na param labhat, na param sukhat. There is no sukham greater than the sukham of Atma Ramananda. There is no greater gain and there is no greater pursuit than Atma bodha. So Brahma Swarupa was also included. And then finally, we saw how in the last shloka, Acharya Shankaracharya describes the Atma Tattvam as Dik Kala Deshadi Anapeksha Tirtha Kshetram. How the Atma is the ultimate Tirtham, and it is a holy, auspicious Tirtha where one can dip in any time, any place, independent of any conditions, 24/7, and gain that Nitya Sukha. Okay, so that was in short an overview of this Atma Bodha. Now we are going to see by Niharika the metaphors. So the beauty about this is that we may not always remember Adhyasa, what it means, or Brahma Swarupa. But when we connect with the metaphor, the Drishtanta, the example, then that we will connect by the law of association, and that concept will flash in our mind. That is the beauty of the metaphor. So now,
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The initial 5 to 6 verses, we will discuss about what is the root cause and what is the problem and what is the solution. Now, as we all know that with the help of the fire, we can do the cooking. If we have the vegetables and everything else, all the ingredients, without fire, we cannot cook. So similarly, to attain moksha or liberation, Atma Jnanam is the only solution. The other rituals and all the karma yoga, the upasanas, they are all prerequisites for chitta shuddhi. So this jnana yoga is the only solution for the problem of avidya. Now, so here, if we can remember this fire example, we can easily correlate what is the problem and what is the solution. And similar example is when we come into a dark room and we switch on our tube light or they come with a candle, so the whole room is lit. So similarly, if we get into the whole cycle of kama, karma and all, this will go on for janma, cycle of births and deaths will keep on continuing. Now, why we are doing perpetually all these karmas? Because karma is in harmony with ignorance because of avidya. So the root cause is avidya, that is the samsara, that is the problem. And what is the solution? Jnana. The jnana alone destroys this problem, just as the light, destroys the darkness. So we have to remember fire and the light, sunlight, these two, they directly remove the darkness and it helps in aids in cooking. So also the only solution for avidya is Atma Jnana. Now, next, we see that, sun is revealed. If some days it is very cloudy. So when the clouds move away, then we are able to see the sun. The last couple of days, it's raining heavily everywhere. So when the sun is revealed, now so slowly, when the ajnanam is destroyed, then we can visualize the Atma. So this Aham Brahmasmi Vritti, this removes the ajnanam. Just like Surya, the Atma is always shining. and the dark clouds are similar to Ajnanam. So when we remove this layer, then the Atma Jnanam reveals, it manifests. It's not somewhere else, it's not Kailasa. It is within us, it will manifest, it will reveal. So similarly, another example, just like the nut powder, it settles down after cleaning the water, the dirty water, and it disappears. So similarly, the Jnana Vritti, it removes the ignorance, the Ajnanam, and understanding of Atma, this retains. Now, we all, in the next couple of verses, we will be dealing with, now we saw what is the problem and what is the solution. Now, the next coming couple of verses, we will see the concept of Adhyasa. Now, why this Adhyasa is a problem? And if we remove that Adhyasa, how we can go to the next step? So, just like as we are all aware that when we are in a dream state and when we wake up from that, the dream world is illusionary. So similarly, we need to understand that the world is full of attachments, and that is with raga and dvesha. Hence, just it is a longer dream. It's a bigger dream. So we are just deluded in this dream-like world. We are giving reality to this world. So if we come out of this, then the delusion stops. And when we wake up to the true wisdom, just like how we wake up every morning from the dream world, then we will really wake up from this illusionary world, which is full of attachments. Now, Shankaracharya has quoted another similar example. That is the oyster shell. It on the seashore, it shines like silver. So similarly, as the world is full of attachments, they are very beautiful. That is, the Maya Shakti, it is very powerful. We are always attracted to the sense organs, sense pleasures, and the problem is the Mula Avidya. So we need to understand that all this which we are seeing in front of us is Mithya world. Only if we realize that Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, then only we will come out of the ignorance. So this entire world is like a mental projection. That is the cause of all the problems, this avidya. So if we remember the concept of this oyster shell, which is shining, and this dream example, then we can correlate these two, that how much, we are giving reality to this unnecessary, unreal world. This is not real. This is not real silver at all. So we are giving reality to that. We are giving too much of reality to the emotional drama which is happening. We get agitated. So it is not required at all. We need to be asangaha. Now, the next example which Shankaracharya gives is the water bubbles. Now, we know that bubbles arise in the water, and what Shankaracharya has done here is he has compared the Atma to the ocean and the bubbles to the various lokas. That is, the various lokas they manifest. Amma has already taught us the Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. So just like the the 14 lokas, they manifest and they exist and the laya happens. So similarly, the you can correlate the same example to the bubbles. They appear and they disappear in the water. So this is just like that. Atma is the Adhisthana. That is what we have to realize. The rest, everything, this loka, these are all perishable like the bubbles. So this is what we need to understand from this verse. So, which this is all anatma. And the anatma, which is perishable, we are giving it more utmost priority. The main concept is atma. So we have to give, full we need to understand that we need not give reality to the anatma. Now, so similarly, that gold is the substratum for all the ornaments and all the jewelries. So similarly, Atma is the Adhishtanam. Just like how we are all the Jivarasis, we are all the Nama Rupas. of the same conscious principle, similarly, uh, we all nama rupas, we are superimposed on that Brahma. So this is the Adhyasa concept. Now, just like the bangles and all these necklace, earrings and all, they are all various namarupas of gold. We all are the various namarupas of the one and only one single conscious principle. Now, next comes the space example. The space metaphor here, we have a lot of times we have come across. Amma used to show us a pot. So this is pot space, we say, and this is the balcony space, the outer space, this space, that space. Actually, space is, it is all pervading, just like the Atma. So Atma is compared to the all pervading space. There are no divisions in this. We are giving divisions to it because of the various mental conditioning which is happening due to the various upadhis. It seems to be divided into various namarupas, but it is not at all divided. We break the pot, then there is no pot space and the outer space. So similarly, there is one Atma which is conscious. It is not divided at all. Now, next comes the water. The pure water in its pure state, it is colorless and it is tasteless. So similarly, Atma it is associated with various upadhis. But actually, if we see, similarly, just like water is differentiated by various flavors and colors, just like, chocolate flavor or green tea, all these various flavors which we have. So similarly, the upadhis are superimposed on the Atma. So if we remove this idea of the caste, the color, the divisions which we have made in the society, if we remove all that, so what is remaining is just the Atman. So that is the only thing which is the substratum or the adhisthana. Now, coming to the crystal. So Amma has showed us lots of examples. She used to bring the crystal and the various colors and the blue cloth and all. And we always see that when we keep that cloth beside that pure crystal, so what happens is that color, that specific color reflects onto this crystal. So similarly, the Atma is pure, it is clear. What happens is, just as the way we have these panchakoshas, you all very well know the panchakoshas, Annamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Jnanandamaya Kosha, and Manomaya Koshas. So all these koshas, we are superimposing on the Atma. Atma is pure and it is clear. It is asangaha. The qualities, just because of the close proximity of, of these koshas, with the Atma, what happens is the Kartritvam and Bhoktritvam are getting transferred onto the Atma. So just the way when we put a red rose, beside the crystal, pure crystal, the crystal appears red in color. So similarly, the superimposition is happening to the Atma. Otherwise, the Atma is actually Nitya, Nirmala, Asangaha. We have already seen all the qualities of Atma in chapter 2 Gita, which Sri Krishna has explained to us. So we have to remove this adhyasa. So because of adhyasa, we are thinking that this is the quality of Atma. No. Now, what does a wise person or a jnani does? The jnani, with his viveka, he discriminates anatma and anatma. How? The simple example is how we remove rice from the husk. Here, rice is atma and the husk is anatma. That's a simple example. So, this discriminative analysis is the takeaway from all these verses. So, we should not superimpose the Panchakoshas or the three sharirams, that is the Stula, Sukshma, Karana sharirams unto the Atma. No, we should not be superimposing all this. Or the biggest mistake which we are doing is we are having a misplaced identity because of this adhyasa. We are saying I am saying I am Niharika, I am this, I am that. No, If I keep saying to myself throughout the day, Aham Brahmasmi, maybe, one day I will be attaining. So just like Atma pervades everywhere, which we have seen with the help of the space example. So similarly, it shines, the Atma Jnanam shines in the purest form of buddhi. Just like a perfect mirror is required for the reflection of any image. Now, if we are seeing this in this image, we are seeing a reflection of the trees. Why? Because the water is clean here. If the water is dirty, then we cannot see the reflection here. So similarly, the Atma Jnana reveals itself, it manifests only in the purest form of the buddhi. Now, we see that just like how the king, he observes the entertainment in the court hall without being the participant. Atma here is distinct. It is very much distinct from the Panchakoshas, the senses, mind, and intellect. We come and say, oh, I am happy today, I'm very sorrow today, my mood is off. No, this is all, they are the feelings of the mind, the intellect. We are driven by these emotions, raga, dvesha, the senses and the body. Atma lends sentience to this. It lends, Amma just now has mentioned, it lends Sat and Chit concept. And because of which we are able to do, the Panchakoshas are able to function. But it is not, the mind on its own, it cannot function. So similarly, Atma is just a sakshi to all the functions of the Panchakoshas. Now, if the water is still, then the moon appears, it appears to be still. But what happens is actually the moon appears to be running when the clouds are moving in the sky. Now, so also, if I'm not talking here about the jnani, but all the rest of the ajnanis, the non-discriminative people, we feel that just as moon is appearing to running because of the clouds movement in the sky, the Atman appears to be active because the non-discriminative person thinks that it is due to the actually it is due to the functions of the sense organs. So there is a complete transference of the doership and the, because of the upadhis involved in this action. Why? Again, because the close proximity of the upadhi and the Atma. Now, as I just mentioned, that Atma alone just lends its sat and chit to the Panchakoshas. So similarly, when the sun rises in the morning, then all of us, we start our work. We start our daily chores. So similarly, Atma is just the presiding principle. It is Keval Adhyaksha, and we are unnecessarily superimposing the activities of the Anatma onto the presiding Atma. Just as, the blueness is not, the quality of the sky, because sometimes the sky is foggy, misty, and hazy. So similarly, the characteristics of the body and the organs are attributed to the blemishless Atma. Now, coming to the reflection of moon in the water. So similarly, due to ignorance, the feelings, the responsibilities, they are attributed to the Atma. And we have to gradually identify that we need not lean, or we need not identify ourselves with these Anatma activities. So with the examples of all these metaphors like blue sky, the moon and all, we need to remember like the king example and all. So now next is the mind. The mind in the Sushupti state, it ceases to not to exist. So similarly, Atma is free from emotions like raga and dvesha. So all the emotional feelings and all, they're perceived to exist as long as the mind is functioning. And now Shankaracharya has given three examples of nature. That is the sun, that is its nature is luminosity, and water is always cool, and fire, it is always hot, whether it is in Arctic Circle or here, it is always hot. So similarly, we need to shift our attention to the stable and the unchanging Atma, and we need to break away from the mind. It is always, as it is always changing all the time. So Atma is a Sangaha, and it is stable, it is steady, it is pure. So these are the various examples given. Now coming to the snake rope famous example. So because of the ahankara and because of the fears and all, we superimpose the ego, but actually we are the supreme self. Now, if we realize this, then we become fearless. So that is the metaphor here, rope and the snake. Now, just as the lamp illuminates a jar in the pot, so also the Atman, it illumines the mind and the sense organs and so on. So the materials, they cannot illumine the, just as I mentioned, they are all anatma, and Atma lends sentiency to the mind, the body, and the sense organs. So similarly, the best example here is the lamp illumining a jar in the pot. Now, once a lamp is lighted, it does not need another lamp to illumine. So similarly, once the self, because with this self-knowledge, the Atma Jnanam happens, then there is no other knowledge which is required. Just again, we are coming to the same perishable bubbles concept. We need to realize through this discrimination, the Viveka, that I am ever the pure Brahman, and I am different from all these objects, the bodies and all the sense objects, which I perceive them to be myself. So the perishable bubbles is a metaphor here given. Now, next is the space. Now, space is a very most common example. So just as Atma is ever pervading, it fills within and without. In the previous example, I have the space is considered in the microscopic level. Here, the same space example, this metaphor is considered at the macroscopic level. So as the space is changes and it is same at all times, so Atma is blemishless, stainless, and motionless. Achalaha, Nirmalaha, Niranjanaha, all this. So now for any disease, we all know that medicines are required. Now for this samsara roga, which is affecting us from various janmas, so similarly, Atma Jnanam is the only medicine which is the cure for this disease, because we have the vasanas coming from various births. So the medicines example is the best correlation, and the solution is, we need to do Nididhyasanam, that is the Vedantic meditation, to remove the adhyasa. Now, how does the wise, they differ it? They intelligently, they merge the entire world of the objects in the Atma alone. And they constantly think that Aham Brahmasmi. So they are ever uncontaminated like the space. It's over.
Thank you, Niharika, for this wonderful journey through the, colorful and creative metaphors. How beautifully she has put it all together. And we're waiting for more, so which we will do another time. And she's covered 40 or 39 verses, and as you know, there are 68 verses. Okay. So thank you again for your effort. And now let us conclude with the Swasti mantras. Om Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Yagena Margena Mahi Mahishaha गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ